Yo, so guys, welcome back to another video. This is a reaction to culture shocked Americans share things or share the things they didn't realize were so American. Yeah, I mean, this is a Reddit sort of based video. I think I feel like I've done one of these before, but I can't remember what video it was to. But it was quite fun if it was what I remember, what I reacted to. But I can't fully remember what channel it was or whatever. But yeah, Reddit's one of my favorite websites. I mean, I didn't really start using it until recently, but I use it quite a lot now, and yeah, it's just cool to see people's opinions on Reddit, and yeah, we're just gonna see pretty much people's culture shocks from the US to the rest of the world, and like sort of when they travel and how it differs from their country. But yeah, let's just get into
Americans of Reddit. What is something you didn't realize was typically American until you went abroad? Having your drink constantly refilled at restaurants. I just wanna drink a ton of water, alright. Garbage disposals in sinks. When I moved to the UK,
What is
my
a garbage
flatmates asked how in movies people would stick their hands in the sink drain and it'd be ripped apart. I told them about garbage disposals and they were very weirded out.
Let me just see what garbage disposal sink. What does it even look like? Wait, what? I don't want to buy it. I just want to see what it looks like. Oh, it's actually sharp as shit. Oh, no thank you. So what does that actually do? Is it like a bag in it or something? You just... Looks wild though. That looks pretty useful too. I don't know why we don't have it here, but again, maybe there's some health and safety reasons behind it.
Red plastic cups for parties. So much so that people outside US use them as an accessory to American themed parties. I doubt this is restricted to America in any way, but when I studied abroad in the UK, the lack of public drinking laws was a bit of a culture shock. Being able to walk outside with a bottle of beer was very freeing. Root beer is apparently disgusting and an offense to most of the world's palate.
I don't like it at all.
Having plenty of free bathrooms around for the public to use. When I went to Australia, I found out very quickly that no one down there roots for a team, they go for a team. So when I said I root for the Red Sox, I got a lot of weird looks. Rooting
I mean, I support
in
a
Australia.
team.
Free public restrooms. When I visited Europe, I thought it was the strangest thing that you had to pay to use a public restroom.
Yeah, it's a bit weird.
There's a big shortage of water.
I think that's in the main cities, like London. You have to pay for like toilets in like the underground and stuff. I did notice that, but in like, I mean, there's a public toilet near me, and I feel like yeah, you don't have to pay for that. So I guess it just depends. Maybe certain places, and like in the mall, you don't have to pay to go to the toilets. So I guess it just depends in the big cities maybe. Or maybe in the UK it's not really a thing, other than the underground. It's like when you go to like, the other European cities.
The fountains once you leave the US, I've noticed. Sugar. When I visited Japan,
I don't see
even
many
some
water
of their
fountains,
sweetest desserts pale in comparison to how much sugar is in American food. Not an American, but I can always spot Americans at the airport, because they take off their shoes at security, even if it's not required.
What?
Portion sizes. My high school senior trip to London. As a typically ravenous appetite 18-year-old, I couldn't get over how small everything was standard. Dressing likes to do stuff like grocery shop. Went to the Netherlands for about 2 weeks, and we never saw anyone dressing comfy-ish. Like, everyone looked nice, everywhere.
Now I wear tracksuit bottoms quite a lot, to be honest.
Walking through Walmart at 3 AM and him wearing old PJs, whatever shirt I happened to exist in, and him probably not wearing socks.
What? Socks are
I was
comfy.
struck by the extent to which nobody talks to strangers in Northern Europe. Even in big cities in the US, people will talk to each other sometimes in line, on the subway, etc. Not deep conversations, but it isn't weird to make casual conversation. How large grocery stores are here. My wife is not American, and we lived in China, and were in HK all the time. They had large international stores that were great, and she didn't really grasp the size of American grocery stores till our first week in the USA, and there's 150 feet of cereals on one aisle. Being friendly to an extent, I checked in at a hostel, and walked into the lounge area where people from all over the world were just chilling. I kinda introduced myself to the whole room, and someone goes, "You're from the States, yeah?" And I'm like, "Yeah, how do you know?" They said, "Only an American will walk into a room of strangers and introduce themselves to everybody." My British friend makes fun of me for how much cheese I use in my cooking. Doesn't stop her from inhaling my potato casseroles, but there you go. Buying stuff and the cashier putting your items in a plastic or paper bag. Went to
Yeah, I remember hearing about this. This is wild.
They don't bag your items. Everyone just brings their own bag or dumps their
Would be
stuff
useful,
in a
though.
backpack.
Not gonna lie,
Measuring
but
walking/driving distance in blocks. It's the unit of measure I use most frequently when giving directions.
never use that
The
measurement in
restaurant
my
is
life.
3 blocks away. Go south 1 block, and then 2 blocks west. I live 6 blocks from the grocery store.
See, I'll be
It
like, I
wasn't
live
until I studied abroad
3 minutes away, or we are a minute away. We're a minute away. We're 2 minutes away. Whatever. I'd never say block. Never in my life. Never heard anyone say block. That's an interesting little difference.
in England, and got a complete blank look when I asked someone how many blocks away the library was. That I realized using block as a measurement only makes sense in cities that were largely pre-planned and built on grid system.
There we go.
Not many places outside the US.
Yeah.
S'mores. I was in New Zealand having a bonfire on the beach and someone went and grabbed a bag of marshmallows and then everyone just ate them by themselves.
Yeah, that's grim, man.
And someone from
I used to do that, but marshmallows I'm not really a fan of anymore. They're not really that satisfying to eat. You're just eating air and it's just so sweet. I don't really think I like marshmallows at all though. When I was a kid I did, but in hot chocolate, like small marshmallows in hot chocolate goes well. But other than that, it's just one of those sort of sweets that I'm just sort of like, there's just no reason for me to eat this, you know.
Asked me if s'mores were a real thing or only on TV. I was flabbergasted.
But s'mores does make sense. I mean, I had it once and that wasn't the proper way, so it wasn't as good as they probably are in general. But that's more satisfying because you have a lot more in it. But again, it's probably evil. It's much more sweeter than just having marshmallows. But just something about having marshmallows on their own just doesn't sit well with me.
This all could be
Doesn't
due
hit
in
the same
part
way.
to the fact other places don't tend to have graham crackers. Massively
Exactly, I
like
use
those
normal
/lanes.
biscuits.
The whole of Ireland made me feel claustrophobic, but when I got back home the roads felt like way too much wasted space. 24-hour stores. It's weird not being able to buy random shit for
Yeah, I'm jealous of that. That's a
Cold
very good
drinks.
thing to have.
Every European country I visited, the drinks would best be described as cool, but definitely not cold like in the US. It is a Japanese culture to always greet someone as a sign of respect, but I feel uneasy that Americans sometimes looks at you and do a half smile while not saying anything. The stereotype about us being loud is true. I never thought of myself as being loud until I went abroad and would hang up the phone after speaking in what I thought was appropriate volume.
I can't
to
speak
find
loud on the
everyone
phone.
around me was staring at me and realized how much more quiet they were. All whoops.
I hate people
Ask any
listening to
soldier
what I'm
after
saying on the
multiple
phone.
Deployments. What one
Gives
of the
me
most
anxiety.
remarkable things about America, and it would be massive grocery stores. Road trip.
See, we do have big like supermarkets here, but I guess just like compared to the US, they're still not anywhere near as big. Like I think they're big because that's what we have here, but then I'd see them in the US and maybe I'd be like, okay, this is how big they are actually over here, and it makes the ones in the UK look tiny. There probably are some comparable ones though, to be fair.
At least just jumping in the car and driving a few hours without giving it much thought. I live in a large western state, and it seems at least every other weekend my family and I were in the car traveling for a few hours to see some sight. Going to Mexico or another state. I have relatives in Switzerland and they were going to drive us to the Frankfurt airport, and I was blown away
Switzerland?
how big of a deal it was to them. My uncle had the car inspected, shopped around for gas, and printed off travel and weather reports. All for a trip my dad would have said, hey, let's do this weekend. In the car, kids. Peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. On a related note, no, Vegemite and butter are not an adequate substitution. You know who you are.
Vegemite is good though, but Vegemite's not even European, it's Australian. But to be fair, I've tried, when I have had peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, I tried it a few times when I was younger. And it does slap, man, but I've not really had it much. Just one of those things that I tried and I was like, you know, this is good, but I've never really thought to just have it often, you know?
Keeping Akon
It's good, though.
100% of the time in the summer.
I wish I could
Visited
do
Madrid
this.
for about a month to see the exchange student we housed, and found that they typically only turn on Ak at night to sleep, or
But
when
Madrid's
it reaches
hot.
a damned 105 degree F. Eating
Madrid's
a burger
really
and
hot.
fries with your hands. I just assumed everyone did this.
I do.
went to Sweden with my boyfriend and we stopped at a burger joint. Small local place. When the chef heard we were American, he immediately wanted us to try a specialty burger he made and tell
Burger.
him what we thought about it. They were all excited when we picked it up with our hands and we realized everyone else in the place.
See, that's not normal, I don't think.
Burger was 11/10. Water pressure. Y'all's showers are like a flower watering pot. I like to feel my shower. Like, make the pressure strong enough to tear my skin off, then back it off like 10%.
I wish you could adjust the
the
pressure.
US.
I mean, you can actually, can't you? You can adjust the pressure, but the pressure, the highest pressure you can have is definitely, well, my shower is the same. It's not very pressurized. It's enough, but I like it when it's just like, because you can like, actually like, I just feel like you can just wash better, to be honest, but probably so you don't waste as much water, isn't it? I guess the less pressure, the less water you waste, pretty much.
I moved to Europe about 10 years ago. I learned quickly to get out of the habit of smiling or saying hello to strangers on the street. I didn't understand
Must be a
why
huge
people
culture shock to
found it
me.
so off-putting at first, because I thought I was simply being polite. A European friend explained that it comes across as funny/untrustworthy and puts people on their guard. It can still be hard sometimes to shake the feeling that I'm being rude by not smiling at everyone I pass by. Here in the States, pregnancy announcements, reveals, baby showers are mainstream, but it's generally a big no-no to bring it up in Kenya. My mom found out the hard way. Essentially, asking someone when the baby is due is the equivalent of asking the person when did you and your husband dead, which is considered extremely
Oh,
rude.
wow.
The lady my mom asked was gracious about it, but said if we were not such good friends I would have slapped you. I'm not American, but visit the US a lot, and I tell you, almost all Americans has this habit of giving the half-smile look to anyone. That is not just normal anywhere else. Getting to choose from like 50 different types and subtypes of sodas.
It's not a bad thing, though.
Advocating you to go to the doctor and demand a prescription for whatever fantasy pills
Okay,
new to
yeah.
the market on the
That's a
radio
bad
like
thing.
it is no big deal. Going out to a restaurant. In America, you are seated as soon as possible, and then they bring you drinks, appetizers, entree, dessert and then check as quick as they possibly can, if it's good service, for a total time of 45 minutes to an hour and a half-ish. Staying past this time is seen as a bit rude. In Europe, going out to eat seemed to be more of an event that you slowly enjoyed for a longer period of time. First, they bring you drinks and an appetizer for the first hour. Then the second hour is the entree and dessert.
Okay, not that long. It ain't that long. I'd say, I mean, I don't actually like to be in the restaurant for that long. Nice to relax a little bit, but once I'm done eating, I don't really like to sit around that long because I just think it's... Maybe I do sort of think I'm sort of overstaying my welcome, in a sense. Not that we're kicked out or anything, but I just feel like we always seem to... Whenever I go out with my girlfriend and my family, we always seem to go out... We're not there for that long, but actually at the same time, when we've gone with like my whole family, like my grandparents and my dad and my brothers and the other side of the family and stuff, it's definitely been like a thing. Like we'd go to a buffet and we'd actually be there for like an hour or 2 hours probably. Half the time just spent chatting around. But when I go just like with my girlfriend or my mum or whatever, I'm never usually there for that long, man. I don't know how long he's gonna say they're here for this scenario, but that definitely ain't for me.
Then it's more drinks for another half hour or so. I don't know if it's because we were American, but it seemed like the wait staff everywhere we went was annoyed that we were rushing them when we just thought it was bad service and didn't understand the routine. The prices abroad don't add tax after the fact. You pay what the price shows. No need to figure the tax. Dumb that we do that here.
Yeah, that's always one.
I swear there are 14 million people in Istanbul, and I was the only one wearing shorts. Not American.
Really? I've never been there.
But I found out that having an electric
I wear
kettle
shorts all the
is
time.
mandatory in every home like toilet.
This blew my mind when I found out that there's not kettles in, like, it's not normal to have kettles in your houses, and most people like use like, they'll either like get a kettle that they put on their stove, or they'll just use a pan or anything, like something like that. That baffles me. I thought like kettles were like just a mainstay in houses around the world. This one really baffled me.
Or whatever. Canadian for reference. How are you? Being used in place of hello even with strangers. In the US, how are you needs only to be replied with good, you, almost as a way of saying hi. Elsewhere people don't really know how to respond when a stranger asks how are you doing, or how's it going. I did an art history course in Italy. What really stood out to me was the size of cars over there. Over here you have a mix of mid-sized sedans and pickup trucks slash SUVs with the occasional compact
Because the roads are
car.
big and wider,
When I
right?
went, compact cars here were incredibly
European cities, it's a lot more like... Oh, I guess there's going to be a lot more smaller cars and stuff because the roads are a lot more cramped, etc.
scarce. Over there, it seemed like most everyone drove a compact car with the occasional sports car. I remember counting 6 pickup trucks in the 10 days I was
There
there.
we go.
For comparison, I can name more than 6 people I know with a pickup here. Parenting roles falling almost exclusively on the mother. Going to Denmark was weird. Almost all strollers were pushed by dads. There was billboards with dads snuggling with their babies, and they were much more loving and affectionate than I've ever seen. How colourful people dress. In
So what are you
pretty
saying?
much
Only good dads are in
every
Denmark?
European country I've been to, people dress with really neutral colours without big logos or graphics. In America it's pretty common to have people dress in bright colours, or have a shirt with a cool graphic on it. Europeans dress pretty fashionable, but they aren't very expressive when it comes to clothing. Huge amounts of personal space. I know everywhere has the concept of a personal bubble, but for Americans, it's more like a personal iron curtain. Now I can't unsee the lengths that Americans will go to be far away from other people. Next time you get on an elevator or a metro in America, look at how perfectly spaced out everyone is standing to maximize the distance to other people.
I enjoyed these ones, man. These Reddit ones are quite interesting. This seems similar to the one that I saw before, but I don't know what one I saw. But I enjoyed it. I like how Americans seem extra concerned about personal space, but try to have conversations with strangers. Yeah, that's actually quite like it's two sort of like completely opposite ways of living, isn't it? I'm American. I thought smiling at strangers was normal. I have to smile at strangers, or I feel like they see me as uptight or arrogant. We may have free bathrooms, but we don't have free healthcare. American, huh? Non-Americans, we don't do that here. Just stop talking. We don't do that here. What I learned about this: Americans are very friendly with strangers, but please do not touch me. Yeah, fun little reaction. Hopefully you enjoyed it. If there's maybe more videos from this channel that they do, let me know in the comments, and I could do them in the future. But yeah, until next time, like, subscribe. Peace.